My pleasure to invite Your Honor, the Mayor of Jerusalem, Barkat.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished ambassadors, diplomats, honored guests, welcome to Jerusalem. It's my honor to host you here. And those of you that come to Jerusalem often probably noticed the major progress Jerusalem has made in the last 6 years. Jerusalem is going through a cultural renaissance and has become an attractive destination for investors, for young people, for pilgrims from all over the world. We indeed see growth from 2 million tourists a year just less than a decade ago to a run rate of 4 million tourists a year to our city. And 99% of the visitors that come to our city go back home as ambassadors of peace from the city of Jerusalem. The development made in the city of Jerusalem, we are very proud to share with you that the city's budget has been growing over 10% from year after year in the last 6 years. And when you look at the skyline of our city, you will see dozens of cranes that practically convey the message that Jerusalem is open for business, that indeed the public and private sectors are investing in our future. You see sustainable growth in our economy, more jobs, more stability, and all this is happening in context of what is happening in the Middle East and in other parts of Israel. When you see countries around us practically falling apart. There's an island of sanity in the Middle East called Israel, and within it, the crown jewel, the city of Jerusalem, that is developing at a constant rate, way over and above the average growth in Israel, and against all countries around us. And I believe that this has a lot to do with the strategy and the practical approach we have for developing our great city of Jerusalem. We had some challenges in the last few months, practically the last half year, where violence erupted mainly by young teenagers in the city of Jerusalem that are not listening to their parents, nor to their principals in the schools, and sometimes not to the local leadership in East Jerusalem. And these young kids have to be brought back, which is exactly what we've been doing in the last few weeks. Bring them back to school, and in the last 3 weeks we got all the kids back into their schools, and we're continuing to invest in the schools and develop after hours as much as we can to provide them a better future and to remind them that their future is in their education rather than in the violence. Yes, indeed, we've been working with the national government and the police to restore law and order in areas where the police seldom visited. Yes, we will upgrade the effectiveness of the punishment of those that are creating the violence. But as a matter of fact, I know already that the things that we've been doing in the Arab neighborhoods, in places where violence occurred, there's a significant decrease in the violence since we took action and responsibility, mainly of how to get the kids back into school. Folks, I'm accountable as mayor of Jerusalem for all residents, Jews, Christians, and Muslims. I took a tour, I took 50 reporters to a tour at the beginning of this week, where I shared with them some of the building and construction happening in the city of Jerusalem. I shared with them the master plan. It's called Master Plan 2000. It's public, we can give it to you. That talks about how our city scales from 800,000 people strong to 1 million people, 1 million residents, just 15 to 20 years from now. And how we have to build 50,000 apartments in the next decade and plus to enable the practical growth, the natural growth of the population of the city of Jerusalem, 2 to 3% a year. And with the naked eye, we've shown and demonstrated how we scale Arab neighborhoods and Jewish neighborhoods. You can see with the naked eye that it's proportional and relative to all populations of the city of Jerusalem. I've shown how responsibly we develop the neighborhoods through the local committee, district committee, and national committee, open for anybody that wants to take the system to court. And indeed, we've demonstrated and proven that we're building and catching up with neglect, investing in infrastructure. We moved from 230 classrooms built prior to my administration to 870 my first term. And we will show how we build 2,000 in the next 5 years, 2,000 classrooms, and catch up with neglect all over the city. I'm also accountable with the national government to maintain freedom of religion that does not exist anywhere else in the Middle East. You will not find any other place in the Middle East where Muslims manage the Muslim sites, Christians manage the Christian sites and feel safe and secure, and Jews manage the Jewish sites. There's a very famous phrase that we maintain in the city of Jerusalem called status quo. I want to share with you what that means. Status quo is not a little thing. It is being responsible for coexistence in a city where many, many opinions and perceptions are part of our democracy. There is status quo maintained between religious and secular, between Christians and Jews, between Muslims and Jews, between Muslims and Christians. And the number of times that I receive challenges and people have different views and different approaches in the city of Jerusalem. But for us to live together in a meaningful way in the city of Jerusalem, we are and we will maintain status quo. Status quo on Temple Mount means the Jews in the certain hours agreed in the last few decades could get to the Temple Mount but not pray. And Muslims naturally could pray in their hours but not be violent on the mountain. And if you come respecting status quo, working within status quo, green light to anything you want to do in the city. You want to challenge the status quo? Well, it's a democracy. You have your own opinion, that's fine. But if you try to change status quo through violence and other measures, red light, no entry. Status quo is not only Muslim, Jewish. And honestly, I got to tell you, as somebody accountable for all residents of the city of Jerusalem, we have so many opinions. But the fact that everyone respects and agrees to work within the status quo is key to the future of the city of Jerusalem. I want to talk about the next 10 years. The next 10 years, you will see Jerusalem continue to thrive. We will aggressively pursue the cultural renaissance that we started, developing Jerusalem and opening it up for the world to enjoy. The goal I set of reaching 10 million tourists a year is around the corner. And we will strive to enable more and more people all over the world to come and enjoy the holy city, the city of justice that enables all people that come peacefully to enjoy and respect each people's religion and others. We will double the hotel room. We will add over 150 to 2,000 new jobs. This is the rate that we're scaling and building. And as the capital of Startup Nation, you will see us triple the number of employees in the high-tech sector, triple the amount of new companies. We're, in the last few years, we've seen multiple growth of the high-tech sector and health life sciences. And we will indeed invest public and private capital to develop Jerusalem to its potential. You will see, in terms of infrastructure, the fast train from Tel Aviv in the center of the country is going to be ready at the beginning of 2018. You will see in the next 7 to 10 years additional 3 light rail lines with a sum of investment of over 30 billion shekels made by the national government. And around the investments of infrastructure and light rail, you will see very strong city renewal in different neighborhoods that develop for the benefit of the young population that wants to stay and move into the city of Jerusalem. The quality of education in Jerusalem, thank God, is at a rise. And I believe, to sum up my speech, that the success of Jerusalem, which we all want, Jerusalem will continue the path of economic growth, will continue the path of openness, maintaining status quo, because within the status quo, you could dramatically develop the city of Jerusalem, maintain the value of freedom of religion, respect status quo, and Jerusalem must stay a united and undivided city. No other model, no other theoretical model will ever work for the city of Jerusalem. And while all the turmoil in the Middle East is happening, we've demonstrated that by focusing on that vision of a united city, we can indeed continue growth, continue catch up with investments we have been making, and this is the only successful path for the city of Jerusalem. Folks, representing all countries, diplomats, open your eyes. Open your eyes and look at our amazing city of Jerusalem. Don't get confused by trends that will never fly. Jerusalem has to stay a united city, and there's no doubt in my mind that we've demonstrated and will continue demonstrating that what we're doing is for the benefit of all residents of the city of Jerusalem, for all 3 religions within the status quo that we have maintained, and freedom of religion we will maintain. And sticking to that strategy will bring us a decade from now for a much, much better Jerusalem that influences the whole region. Last thing I'd like to say is enjoy our city, feel safe and secure to travel to all parts of our city, and see you next year in the next conference in Yerushalayim. Thank you and good luck.